What's going on, y'all? Today I got this old Game Boy right here. This thing don't even turn on, and later on I found out it doesn't even read games. I cleaned the battery contacts and got it to power on. That's when I found out it didn't read games, and y'all are about to find out why. I actually opened this Game Boy on live a while back, and I was not expecting for it to look the way that it did. I'm pretty sure I got this one for free, so it doesn't even matter. So if I get it to work, good deal. But if I don't, hey, at least I can use it for parts. Alright, crack this bad boy open like an egg after I get this last screw out. Now look at this. Look at all that corrosion right there. Honestly, I've never seen one with this much corrosion on it. That's really bad. No wonder this thing would not turn on and would not read games. But what the hell, I like a good challenge, so let's take this thing out and see if we can clean it up and fix it. Now I already have a Game Boy, I actually have two, but I really just want to see if I can fix this. I put all projects on hold because I became obsessed with this, and right now I'm putting a little bit of distilled white vinegar so I could try to get rid of this corrosion a little bit. And it actually helped a little bit, trying to scrub it off right here. And then that's when I realized that this stuff started just flaking off, and it would be best to replace this whole copper shield right here. Plus I need to see what the traces are looking like. This thing has been on my desk for about 2 weeks now. I really only have about 30 minutes a day during the week to work on stuff, and then sometimes I don't even feel like doing it. So I usually just work on stuff on the weekends, but here lately it's been pretty busy on the weekends, so I haven't been able to do much work. After all the cleaning and scrubbing, there was still some corrosion on this thing. I mean, it was all over the board. And no amount of scrubbing would get it off, so I decided to soak it in some vinegar. Will it mess it up? I don't know, but we'll take a shot. After I soaked it and scrubbed it in the vinegar, I was sure to make sure it was completely dry and cleaned it out with some alcohol, of course. But that vinegar bath really helped it. I also noticed that the card reader was extremely corroded and rusted, so I decided to put a new one in there. Put me some flux on this bad boy, some fresh solder. That way it'll be easier for me to get the old card reader out. I also have some copper tape that I'm going to use to replace that copper shield that was on there. And you can just look at those traces right above where I'm soldering at. You can definitely tell some of them are damaged. I already know I'm going to have to run some jumper wires to get that fixed up. I ended up having to run a bunch of jumper wires, so you'll definitely see them at the end. It was definitely a slow process to get this thing fixed. Right when I think I was done, I would have to do something else. Then this right here is the old card reader and the new card reader. As you can see, the one on the top is in way better shape than that one on the bottom. It just had a few little bent pins whenever it got shipped to me, but it'll still work. We'll throw this bad boy in here and go ahead and get it soldered in. Now there is still a lot of rust exposed on the board, which I cleaned up the best I can. And if this thing works, I'll put some solder mask down and cure it with a UV light. And now it comes the part of me testing all of these traces. I'm just using my multimeter here. And as you can see, I've already ran a few jumper wires already. What I'm doing is just scraping some of the board off right here so that it exposes the copper trace. And then after I get it scraped off, I'll lay down a little bit of solder on that spot, just like this. Those jumper wires are about the size of a piece of thread, so this is really hard. Well, to me it is, but I started getting the hang of it. I believe I had to run around 12 jumper wires. All right, I got this one soldered down. Now I'm going to bend it in the direction that I need it to be. And I have to triple check to make sure I'm going to solder it to the right pin. And then I'll cut it to the length that I need. Try not to cut my thumb right there. There we go, we'll get it. And then I'll burn the protective coating off and solder it down to that pin right there using my tweezers and a soldering iron. And like I said earlier, I'll lay some solder mask down on these jumper wires. That way it holds them in place and protects them, you know. But I'll do that after I make sure this thing works. Now I'm going to speed this process up a little bit. What I'm doing now is using my multimeter and going through and testing all of these connections. Got to make sure all my jumper wires are working. I mean, look how ugly this board is. This is probably the 10th time that I went through checking all these connections. I even had to run one from the pin all the way through the board directly to the chip. Now the front of that Game Boy is trashed, so I decided to use the front of my other one, or one of my other Game Boys. Alright, so attempt number 15. Let's see if this thing works. And I was kind of nervous right here. I was like, crap, I'm done with this thing. I am not doing it again. But sometimes you just got to start it over. Cut it off, cut it on. Look at that. Hopefully it'll read the game, and boom, got it fixed. Now it's time to put this thing in a bin and never touch it again because I'm tired of seeing it. That's all I got, y'all. Y'all have a good one now. See ya.